Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned, things that helped me build up a sizable rental portfolio in about 2 years and now manage that portfolio. Today, guys, I want to talk about rent-ready requirements. So this always comes up, especially when we're taking on new owners, because we have a set of rent-ready standards. And we want to make sure that anytime, whether you're doing this on your own or not, whatever company you're using for management, or if you're doing it yourself, you want to have a certain standard that you use so that, you don't act like a slumlord, basically. You can let things break, no big deal, or not check certain things. And then it just gets more and more expensive throughout the lease because you didn't inspect the appliances. You didn't make sure the paint matched. So it doesn't show well. It takes longer. Then you're going in and doing it and you're trying to clean up and you're trying to do this and that. And it just, pictures come out bad. And then you're stuck with them or you got to retake them. So we created a web page, and I'm going to talk through that here for a few minutes on our website. And if you just go to emersonpropertymanagement.com, there's a little tab and it says owners. And then right underneath that, it says our rent ready requirements. Rent ready requirements, the triple R. Rent ready requirements. So that's a mouthful, but basically this web page is going to outline all the stuff that we require when you're handing us a property. So let's just say you wanted to work with us or you're getting your property ready for rent. This is the stuff that we check on to make sure that once we place a tenant or get this thing marketed, this is the stuff that we want to have done so that it's a quick and easy lease, so that we get minimal vacancy, we get somebody in there. And then when we get a tenant in there, if we don't do these things, or if you don't, again, this is on our website, you can steal it, take it, use it as totally as you see fit. But if you don't do it, I can guarantee you that you're going to get inundated with maintenance requests for the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks that somebody's in the property. Hey, I just tried to use the dishwasher and it's not working. You got to send somebody out there. Hey, I just noticed this electrical outlet doesn't work. Got to send somebody out there. Hey, I noticed this fan doesn't work. So when somebody moves in immediately, they're not testing all this stuff. So if you don't do all these things, or if we don't do all these things, what you'll see several maintenance requests. Now, that's assuming the property rents well. It might take, we're leasing properties between 20 and 30 days, and depend upon summer or winter. And that's average. Some days we're in single digits, or some properties we're in single digits. It's 5, 6, 7, 8 days, and sometimes we're a little bit longer. But if you start noticing your vacancy going up, you might not have a great property. It might not be finished well. It might not be showing well. So these things are going to help you out on showing the property, minimizing vacancy, and preventing those maintenance requests that come in right after a tenant moves in for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks. Okay, again, go on our website. You guys can see this. I'm going to read a few things here and just go through it real quick, just highlight some of the stuff. But please, please, please use this. If you're coming on board with us, we're going to point you to this website. This web page that we have, because this is, if an owner wants to do their own make ready, this is the standards we're going to use. So the first part of this is talking about why we do what we do. So some people are like, man, Cameron, you're getting very particular about some of these turnover items. Do I really need a smoke detector right in that corridor leading to multiple bedrooms? Do I really need a carbon monoxide detector? Do I really need a keyless deadbolt? Yes, the answer is yes, yes, yes to all those. So why is that? A lot of that has to do with the Texas Property Code, specifically around Chapter 92. I actually put a link on this webpage to that. So if you think, Cameron, you're full of shit, I don't believe you, get on there and find out. You'll see. I got a link on it and you'll see all that. The other reason is stuff around Texas law, judicial law. So rulings that might have come out. Case law that has been ruled on that might change the way we handle certain things. It's changing all the time. If you guys are looking at anything politically, what's going on across the country, in Texas, we're still, relatively the same as we have been over the past few years. But there are some rulings that are making security deposits, requiring a tenant to have a security deposit. That's going away. Requiring a 30-day notice instead of a 3-day notice to vacate. There's so many different things, having to take Section 8 tenants. So there's a lot of stuff you might say, well, Cameron, why do we have to do that? Texas Property Code, law usually are the answers. And then we obviously have our own set of standards, right? I don't manage properties in the ghetto. We don't manage properties if you're a slumlord. we're going to eventually just, even if we get on board, we're eventually going to part, because we don't do that. We're not going to put people in something that's not safe, that's not clean, that's not operational. So that weans out a lot of those questions, right? And a lot of folks. So if again, website, you can see chapter 92. A lot of this stuff is very basic. Let's keep the property cleaned and operational. You have to make sure, one of these things that we really come on is all mechanical elements, including appliances, are operating as intended. Cameron, what does that mean? Well, that means that if there's a stovetop and 3 burners work and one of the burners doesn't, and you're like, it's not a big deal. I can guarantee you, even if it's not a big deal for you because you lived in the property, that when the tenant gets in there, they're going to ask for that to be repaired, and I'm going to approve that. That is something that should be working. So any mechanicals need to be operating as intended. Okay, so if you're going to do this, if it doesn't work, get rid of it, replace it, get rid of it totally. If it's a washer and dryer and it kind of works, just get rid of it instead of keeping it in there, and then the tenant's going to put in a request and want it fixed. So that's a big thing. Mechanicals need to be operating as intended. We always service the HVAC system. We have tenants that are in the property 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We've had a tenant that almost in there 10 years. And we don't do yearly checks on those. We do them during the turnover. So we'll check the HVAC system. We'll put in a new filter. We always service the HVAC between turnovers. So if you're not doing that, we'll do that as soon as we take over the property. Make sure you're doing that. It's cheap insurance. Just, servicing is usually $75 to $150 depending upon what they find. Caulking in all the wet areas, so bathrooms, kitchens, it prevents moisture from getting over those, over the countertops or maybe underneath a vanity and create mold and mildew. So we always go in with fresh caulking and make sure that everything is protected as much as possible. Water is the most damaging thing. I mean, fires are obviously as well, but water is one of the most damaging things, and little leaks can create a lot of damage over time, especially on pier and beam homes or properties where the tenant doesn't notice it. They got a bunch of stuff underneath the vanity sink. They don't notice it, and there's water dripping behind the vanity because it's not caulked, and it gets in the drywall, and the drywall is rotten and moldy, and you got to pull all that out and sanitize it, let it dry. It can create a real mess. So we caulk all those wet areas. Doors and locks functioning as properly. That comes up a lot. Hey, this door sticks or this door doesn't work. There's safety reasons why, if a window doesn't open properly, that can create issues, right? So we want to make sure all that stuff's functioning properly. And then this comes up quite a bit too. Property needs to be rekeyed between tenants. I mentioned that in the property code. We, by Texas law, have to rekey between the tenants. And I say we, anybody. If you have a rental property, it doesn't matter whether you're with a property management company or by yourself, you have to rekey between tenants. And that could be switching back and forth to the same key or 2 or 3 different keys, but you have to do it. And we require our owners to rekey to our key system. So that way we know it's been done, and then we do it obviously between each tenants, and we have a way that we handle those keys. Then there's a page here that talks about the full rent ready requirements. I know it's kind of hard to see, but this goes on, like 20 different items here. And some of it talks about the lawn care, making sure the property's clean and removed of personal belongings. I'm not going to read through every single one. A lot of it might seem like common sense, but I can tell you right now, we've dealt with a lot of questions around some of this stuff, and we put all those on there just to make it abundantly clear. So a couple that have come up, carpets. I hate carpet. I've got a video up here. I think carpet is, it is so undurable or not durable, whichever way that's properly pronounced, that it just creates so many headaches. We just turned over a property, and we had the tenant was very hard on the carpets, but the LVP and the tile look brand new. So the carpets need to be replaced, but the LVP was good. And that tenant was not in there very long. So you just got to make sure carpets look good, they're professionally clean, it will show better, it'll rent faster. Personal property, no personal items on the property. So we've had this come up a few times as well. Hey, I've got a storage unit, can I keep some stuff in there? Hey, I've got a closet, can I throw some stuff in there and just lock it? No. We're requiring owners to remove all their personal belongings on the property. You never know. Oh, I asked the tenant, hey, you're not supposed to go in there. This is for owner's personal property. Well, one, they're like, well, hey, I'm renting this house. Does this not come with it? Hey, I've got a mower and you want to lock up the shed. How am I supposed to cut the grass? Where do I store my mower and weed eater? So we just require all the personal belongings to be removed. It makes it super simple. And it does create some headaches if you're an owner and wanting to move back in the property in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But trust me, with tenants moving in and out and then stuff gets thrown away because it looked like garbage or it was, a family heirloom. I've had some crazy items that owner request that we almost threw away. One was a grandfather's secret recipe for some bread or some sort of dish that he made. So, that stuff gets tossed if we're not careful. So make sure you remove all the personal belongings. The blinds, we do require, obviously you have smoke detectors and stuff, but blinds, some sort of blinds, we don't want, we recommend the 2-inch faux wood blinds. You can use the 1-inch cheap plastic ones, they just break all the time. But if you don't put something up, then the tenants try to hang curtain rods or, staple bed sheets over the windows and stuff. It just looks tacky. So we always put blinds in the property. It makes it so much better and looks so much nicer. One of the other couple items that we always do, drain the hot water tanks. So water tanks are typically guaranteed for about 5 years. I have seen water tanks go sooner than that. Thankfully, they're warranted up until 5, so you can get that replaced. But we want to drain them and pull that sediment out just between turnovers. And then the other one is cleaning the dryer vent line. So if you have residents that aren't changing the filter or cleaning out the lint trap in their dryer frequently, and it happens to all of us, you might forget and put 2 or 3 loads in. That's one of the leading causes of house fires, is that lint. I mean, it is amazingly flammable. So we just made it a policy in between turnovers. We are cleaning the dryer vent line. I mean, that's like $75 to $100 depending upon where that goes. So that's something that we always do between tenants. It's cheap insurance to make sure your house isn't going to catch on fire. That is about it. We do have some recommendations. So I put those down here as well. So those are the requirements, and we have some recommendations. And I'll go over a couple of those. Gutters, splash blocks, and proper downspouts. So your gutters run along your home to collect rainwater. I've seen owners spend $500 to $1,500 on landscaping and then not forget to put up a gutter over that, and all that gets washed away in a hard rain. The water runs right off the house and hits the landscaping, the fresh mulch and plants they put in there, and it washes it all away. So in Texas, we get these hard rains. We don't have basements, so they try to slope all the dirt away from the foundation. But something that helps so it doesn't erode beside your foundation, the water run off and then erode that. So you want a proper slope, is just putting in gutters. And then the downspouts go down the gutter and then take the water away from the house. And then if you need to, splash blocks underneath those gutters so that it runs away from the home. That's just a recommendation. It helps out with your foundation. It'll keep, it can be expensive, but if you do that, it will keep the foundation in order longer and help any of that erosion around your properties for proper drainage and water flow. We always recommend removing garbage disposals. I know we have some properties that are priced at almost $3,000 a month, and we still recommend removing the garbage disposal. They can put little strainers or something in the sink. It's just one of those durability things that inevitably there will be a call for a garbage disposal. I just was looking at one today, and what happened? Oh, hey, did you try resetting the button and doing this and doing that? Go through the proper checks. Nope, it's still broken. We go out. It's $100 to go out there for a trip charge. Unless there's something that the tenant did, which then the tenant will pay for. But if not, then you're spending another $150 on a garbage disposal to put it in. It's just not a good use of funds. And it's just not, the tenant has to be cognizant of what they put down the drains anyways. If it clogs it up and we have to go in and run a snake and we find a bunch of grease in there, we're billing that back to the tenants anyways. So we always remove the garbage disposals. And then the last one is the ventilation and insulation in the attic. So your attic, especially here in Texas, your attic acts as as a vent to help breathe. We keep water tanks, furnaces in the attic in most of the properties here in Texas. Sometimes they're in the garage or maybe in a closet. But you want to make sure, especially when it's hot, it gets super hot here. If you don't have proper ventilation and airflow, then the tenant's utility bills get super, super high. You can get condensation and buildup and critters getting in the attic. So it is just one of those things that you have to kind of spend once or twice over 20, 30-year period to blow in some insulation. Make sure you have proper soffits and either a ridge vent or some sort of hat louver to make sure you get proper airflow. So if you don't have that, it is a good idea to do. Again, it just kind of protects everything and makes sure the property is operating as intended. Because if you open that, I've been up in attics before, and you open the door and you step up there and it feels like it's 150 degrees because there's no ventilation, no airflow, and then the tenants cannot keep the property cool. So they set the thermostat to 65 degrees and it only gets 70 in the home, and your AC system's working double. So you might as well just put in a little insulation in the attic. It helps the tenants on the utility bills, and it saves on your mechanicals. Those are the big things, guys. I know this video got kind of long in the tooth here. We're coming up on 17 minutes, but you want to get on the website. We'll put a link somewhere to this page, and you guys can look through it. But these things come up time and time again. Again, there's a huge list of 23 different items, and then we highlight a couple of those major important ones that keep coming up. Again, I recommend you, even if you're not working with a property management company and you're doing this on your own, go to these. I wish I would have had these. These things will save you time, money, and energy. I promise you that. I promise you. So I hope that was helpful. Use these on your next turnover, and you'll find yourselves with a lot less headaches and property running more quickly and a lot less maintenance requests. So y'all, hope that was helpful. See you next week.